i-adjust mo na lang, no, whenever maybe writing something. Or the different thermal characterization techniques that we actually have in our lab. Unfortunately, they are not working, all of them. So again, as I have already told you last time, I will be giving you data, just data from these different techniques, and you'll be the one to interpret it. Kasi I think that's the most important thing naman, that you'll be able to interpret whatever is being generated from this equipment. As for the usage, no, or the operation of these techniques, okay, I also told you that we're going to be having a new set of thermal analysis techniques, but I don't think it will be available this term. Mukhang next term po siya magiging available. So as for the operation, I'll just leave that to perhaps the industry that you'll be working on in the future. The usage naman, the operation is just what? It's a plug and play operation. Plug and play. Just put the sample and then you click. That's it. Diba? The important thing again is the science behind what? Whatever is the data or whatever data are being generated from these equipments, from these techniques. Okay? So as I have told you, aside from observing the changes in microstructure at a particular temperature, because again, you're heating the material, right? Temperature changes, the microstructure is also changing, and we already had that last time. This time, there will now be interrelationship. Say interrelationship. It's not just two, not just about the temperature and microstructure. We will have these characterization techniques that account not just the temperature and microstructural changes. Okay? Other thermodynamic or thermophysical entities are being considered. Okay? So when I say entity, it's more general than properties. Melting temperature, decomposition temperature, these are what? Thermodynamic properties, right? Heat is not a property. Diba? It's a form of energy. Right? So this time, again, from a differential scanning calorimetry technique, when you put your sample material, your polymer material there, of course, as the temperature changed, the microstructure changed, but we're going to be observing also, okay, what happens to your heat flow. Is the material absorbing heat or releasing heat? Typical knowledge say the material is absorbing heat, it will melt, right? But what about when it decomposes? What about when it reaches its glass transition temperature? Is the material still absorbing heat? Those are the things that we have to consider. Diba? Because again, typical knowledge would be, the material is always what? Absorbing heat. Not knowing that during the time that the material is being tested, there can still be what? Or there can also be what? Release of heat. So at what point, at what stage, will the material release, and at what stage will the material will absorb heat? Okay? So other than heat, of course, we can have changes naman in the mass. Mass is also, or not also, it's a different entity than heat, because heat is a form of energy, mass is not what? A form of energy. Is actually what? A thermophysical property. Okay? So in the thermogravimetric analysis, or TGA, mass is the one being observed. In the thermomechanical analysis, the dimension or the shape of the material, how it changes with temperature is the one observed. And lastly, for dynamic mechanical analysis, stiffness, which is a mechanical property. I told you that during in the latter stage of our lectures, especially for the last two techniques here, it's actually what? A combination of heat and work. We now have two stimuli being imposed to the material. Do you follow? So we start with differential scanning calorimetry. How it works first, the simple notion of, how the DSC curve is generated, or the data from the DSC curve is generated. So, this is a sample DSC curve of a polymer material. But then again, as to how it works, okay. Can you see the image here? Or it's a little bit small? Ano ba yung image? Okay, here's a simple schematic of a DSC equipment. Okay. You have heaters here. So the equipment, okay. So inside the equipment we have heaters from which you put your polymer sample in one of the heaters, and then you have a reference pan, okay, in one of the heaters. Of course, the sample polymer is also placed in a pan. So you have two pans with two heaters, but only one has a sample. Only this one has a sample. Okay. So you heat the two pans. Of course, there will be what? Corresponding difference in what? In the absorption of heat. Right? Because the other one has a sample, the other one don't have a sample. So there will be more absorption of heat where? In the pan with the sample, right? So the difference in heat absorption is the one being reported in the DSC equipment. So that you will have the curve. Okay? So, okay, let's fortify that notion. Let's go to our DSC curve. So, did you get that? The difference in heat absorption or heat release will be recorded, and it will transpire as a curve. Okay? Okay, take a look at the curve generated from a DSC test. First, we have to consider the parameters being considered. In the x-axis is what? The temperature. So we all know that as you go from left to right, the temperature is what? Rising. No? The temperature is increasing. Now what about here? So y-axis, anong meron tayo? That is the heat flow. Now, we can see whether the material is absorbing heat or releasing heat. If we have a positive value, that is what? An exothermal or exothermic. If we have a negative value, that is endothermic. However, most of the thermodynamic textbooks that we know, kapag endothermic, positive yung value, di ba? Kapag exothermic, negative. So, it doesn't really matter because it's just a sign. Well, we can impose whatever sign we have. The important thing is we are consistent. So for this lecture, let's follow let's follow the sign convention imposed here. And then again, if it's a negative value, it's what? Endothermic. No. So endothermic here. We follow this. If it's a positive value, it goes up. It's exothermic. Okay? So how do we fortify the notion earlier, no? The DSC principle? Okay, the difference in heat flow is being reported, and this is what endo. Okay, so let's pick a particular portion here, perhaps this portion here, wherein you can see that there is what? A curving that goes downwards, right? It goes downwards. You have different transitions there, but let's pick this point here wherein it's going downwards, okay? So it goes downwards. We are at what phenomenon? Endothermic reaction, or endothermic release of heat. So it goes downwards. Okay? That means at a particular temperature, for example, at this temperature here, say this is your T1, what is the point? If you have this curve at T1, where is the point? This is the point, right? Okay. This point here actually, okay, is the what? Is the point for the pan earlier with the sample. What is the point for the pan without the sample? This is the point. Wherein you have what? A zero magnitude. You understand? So basically, what we get here, okay, is what? What is this? The difference, right? The difference between the pan without the sample and the pan with the sample. So you can actually just consider that the baseline, okay, the baseline for each curve there would be coming from what? The pan without the sample. Do you understand? Whether it has a sample or not, actually there will still be a difference. For example, I put a sample now in the pan earlier without a sample. So you now have what? Two pans with samples, right? But the other one has a smaller sample. Still you will get a difference, right? Right? But then again, the difference would be much smaller. So the peaking, whether that be going downward or upwards, the peaking would be much smaller. You understand? Because the point for a setup without a sample would be from here to here. Right? But the peaking for the setup with two samples would be from here to here na lang, di ba? Are you getting that? Because again, we always generate the difference, no, between 2 points. Understood? Nakuha ba na kapag meron pang sample yung isang pan, magkakaroon pa rin ng difference? Why is that? If this is, okay, the generated data for a setup with what? With just one sample, what if we have two samples? Ha? Hindi na to zero, tama ba? Pero yung point mo, nasaan? Nandito ba? Mas maliit to. Ito yung mas malaking sample. Kanina wala kang sample, maglagay ka ng sample pero mas maliit. Nasaan yung point mo? Nandito or dito? A or B? A, di ba? Kasi alam natin, at a particular temperature, kaunti lang ang i-absorb na heat nino. Nung mas maliit, mas maraming i-absorb na heat yung mas malaki. So the difference now is where? Nasaan yung difference mo? Kanina, ito yung difference, di ba? Nasaan yung difference mo? Ito na lang. Hindi kalo? So, pagka nag-project yan doon sa generated data, makikita natin yun. Mas maliit yung peaking. Na pag-peak pala is mataas, pagpababa is what? Anong tawag doon? O, anong tawag doon? Throw, di ba? Peak or throw. Anong spell ng throw? Okay, nakakuha ba si DSC? Diba? Yun lang yung notion niya. Simple schematic and simple notion is enough. So, in your exam, you must be able to what? To explain the the notion or the concept of how DSC works. Okay. The transitions, these are the transitions that you're going to be observing in a typical DSC data for a polymer material. Okay? Now, let's be more specific on the type of polymer that we're going to be using as a model material for all the characterization techniques. Okay? The typical or the model type of polymer in this lecture is the thermoplastics. The thermoplastic polymers. Basically, the transitions will vary from one type of material to another. Okay? So what do we do? Again, instead of just the temperature and the microstructure, we relate the two, di ba? The two thermodynamic entities with another thermodynamic entity, which is what? The heat flow. Is it going up or down? Is the material absorbing heat or releasing heat at a particular thermal transition? Now, what about the microstructure at that point? Tatlo na yung i-consider na. Yeah, you had an idea na no, about the microstructural changes with respect to temperature. This time, we add the heat flow. Okay? So, the first data, or may say property, that is obtained in a DSC test is what? Okay ba sa initial?
Initial reflection that is proportional to the sample's heat capacity.
Okay. I think this should be deflection. You know the HDT, right? It's the first property being observed from the transitions that we have. As you may notice here, from 0, at that point, that is the starting temperature, you now heat the material in the pan. What happens to the curve? It goes downward. That means that the material or the sample polymer is what? Absorbing heat. Right? It's absorbing heat. Now, during the heat deflection temperature, which is basically somewhere here, right? What happens in the microstructure of the material? Nagkakaroon ng loosening of bonds, right? Right? And again, we may say actually that at that point, there are what? Bonds being broken, but only at a smaller degree. And the fact that the vibration kind of increases after HDT is achieved, that means that slight breaking of bonds had already occurred. And we all know that for a bond, a chemical bond to break, there must be what? Heat absorption. Do you agree? For it to break, kailangan mag-absorb ng energy. Kaya as you may see, no? Pababa yung curve natin. Right? Pababa. So after that, second stage is what? Pakibasa, DSC curve with?
DSC curve with no thermal effect baseline.
Or what we call the baseline. At second stage, from a vertical transition, nagkaroon na ng horizontal transition. Ang ibig sabihin ng horizontal transition, there is no breaking of bonds. Because only what? Only the temperature is changing. Notice that from here, pababa, nagbabago ba yung temperature kapag pababa? Yung curve natin? Pag pababa, nagbabago ba yung temperature?
No.
Hindi, di ba? Because from the concept of latent and sensible heat that you already had in your physics and thermodynamics days, we all know, no, na pag change in phase, nagbabago ba ang temperature?
No.
Pag change in phase, di ba nagbe-break ng bonds? Yun lang yung nangyayari. Latent heat, yung involved doon. Tama ba? Sabing latent, anong ibig sabihin ulit? Latent means hidden, di ba? It's as if there's nothing occurring in the material because the temperature is not changing, di ba? But there's actually what? A manifestation of what? Of bonds being broken. Latent heat. What is the formula for that? Latent heat? For a latent heat, Q is equal to what? The mass of the substance times what? The heat of reaction. This is called this is latent heat. This is what? Heat of reaction. Because change in phase may happen or it can occur at different what? At different cases, di ba? Ano yung mga cases natin? Pwedeng mag-melt, pwedeng mag-solidify, pwedeng mag-evaporate, di ba? Kaya nga pwede yung LF sa fusion, di ba? Pwede yung LV kapag vaporization. Pag LC, ano yun? Combustion, di ba? Do you understand? And in all of the cases, we have what? Bonds being broken. Temperature is not changing. Understood? So here, in the HTT temperature, perhaps we can have a subscript of what? LHTT, right? HTT. Heat, which is latent, is being absorbed by the material, diba? Causing what? Breaking of bonds. Slight breaking of bonds. After that, there was slight breaking of bonds. Ano nangyari sa stage 2? Hindi na nagbe-break yung bonds dyan, diba? Ano nangyayari dyan is pataas ang pataas yung degree of vibration. Because that means the temperature is the one now changing. Do you follow? But during the first stage, breaking of bonds lang yung nangyayari. Ang corresponding result nun would be yung degree of vibration is increasing. But the bonds are not breaking. Do you follow? Do you understand that? Doesn't mean na tumataas yung degree of vibration, di ba? Kaya nagbe-break yung bonds. Pag tumaas pa yung degree of vibration, doon na magkakaroon ng even more, di ba? Breaking of bonds. As you will see later. Okay? So if that's the case, then we have a different heat there. Ang tawag doon? And what is the formula? Q is equal to MC. Burn it. Anong units na? So ito. Meron na tayong change in temperature. Say the of reaction, that is what? An indication that there is what? Breaking. Or although solid pa rin yung material natin, no? Solid pa rin siya. But then again, if we're gonna be more strict about it, basta magkaroon ng breaking of bonds, nagkaroon ng change in phase. Not strict, but a little bit you know, kasi pag strict, hindi siya pwede matawag na change in phase. So, ang tawag doon is, ano yung kabaligtaran ng strict? So, we're going to be more, what's the term? If we're gonna give an allowance, no? Ano yan? For the usage of terms, it can be considered also as a change in phase process. Breaking of bonds is a change in phase process. Okay? Now, what would be the units if I have latent heat? What would be the unit? Units of L is what? In L has units of what? Joule per kilogram. Okay. So if this is in joule per kilogram, this is what? In joules. This is in kilogram. So this is in. Same thing here. This is what? In joules. Of course, this is in what? Kilogram. This is in what? Kayo nang bahala. This is in Kelvin. Then if this is in Kelvin, this is in kilogram, this is in joule, what would be the units of C? Huh? Joule per kilogram Kelvin. Because you're going to be having some computations dun sa finals ninyo. Okay, hindi lang basta yung concept. So, just a review of the equations, no, for latent and sensible heat. Okay. So, just again a review. What do we mean by C here? Specific heat capacity, which is just what? The resistance of a material or substance to what? A change in temperature. Pag mas mabilis magbago ang temperature niya, ang ibig sabihin nun, mababa or mataas ang specific heat capacity. Kapag mas mabilis magbago yung temperature, mas mabilis mag-init, mababa or mataas ang heat capacity, specific heat capacity. Mababa, okay? So, what about L here? Heat of reaction. That is naman the resistance of what? Of a material or substance to a change in phase. Mas matagal siya magbago ng phase, o mas matagal siya mag-liquefy, mas matagal siya mag-evaporate. Ibig sabihin nun, mataas yung ano niya, heat of reaction. Did you understand? So C is the resistance to a change in temperature. L naman is what? Resistance sa change in phase. Okay. Okay. Next stage, pakibasa, glass transition. Cameraman natin. Okay, after HDT, we all know that it will now proceed to what? The glass transition temperature, right? And during the glass transition temperature, what happens in the microstructure? There is now what? Breaking of the amorphous bonds. And as you may notice here, there is again a going down, diba, of the curve. Because again, during breaking of bonds, walang change saan sa temperature. Right? So, to break bonds of the amorphous regions, syempre, bababa ulit yung curve natin. Meaning, nag-absorb na energy. Nag-absorb na. Okay? Now, to show that the absorption of heat stops, no? Ibig sabihin nun, nag-break na lahat ng bonds, hindi pwedeng pagpatuloy yan, di ba? Mag-continue yan downwards kasi kapag nag-break na lahat ng bonds ng amorphous regions, kailangan huling mag-horizontal, di ba? Yung change natin. After nun, you'll have the succeeding stages pa. But after the TG, again, nagkakaroon ulit tayo ng baseline, di ba? You just have to imagine that because yung amorphous regions are now broken, yung degree of vibration, di ba? In terms of what? In terms of expansion of the material, di ba? Mas nagiging significant. Okay? Next stage. I think this is the most interesting part. Okay, because we had the HDT before, we had the TG before, but we don't have your number 4 here. Pakibasa, peak of what?
Peak of cold crystallization.
Or degatification. Okay, so notice that the transition is now what? Peaking. The curve is now going upwards. Instead of going downwards, it's going upwards, which means that the material or the polymer is what? Releasing now heat. It's now releasing heat. How come that this fourth stage here occurs in thermoplastic polymers? I told you that during the during the fabrication of polymers from monomeric substances, no? Usually in liquid form, the solvent has to what? Evaporate. Still remember that? But the monomers will what? Will combine together, forming longer chains, right? But for you to have a solid polymer, the solvent has to what? Has to evaporate. So it has to be cooled down. But the rate of cooling for a typical evaporation of solvent is quite what? Quite fast. Even if it's at normal condition, at normal temperature, for the polymer chains, no? Mabilis na yon. You understand? And so again, there is not what? Enough time for the polymer chains to have an intact arrangement such that you'll have more crystalline regions. Right? The reason why you have plenty of amorphous phases there are again because of the fast cooling during the fabrication of polymers from monomer species. You understand? Listen, during glass transition, what happens again in the microstructure? The amorphous regions are being broken, right? Now, during the baseline here, the degree of movement, diba, of the polymer chains through vibration are actually what? Increasing also, right? During that time, the polymer chains, especially the amorphous regions that have been broken, okay, are having what? Are having an opportunity to move and form crystalline regions, which they can't, no? They can't do during the early stage of heating here. Di ba sa HDT, nagkakaroon ng breaking of bonds pero slight lang. The amorphous regions there are not mobile enough, diba, to form what? Crystalline regions. But here, after the TG, the amorphous regions are now more mobile. Diba? They now have the opportunity to what? To form crystalline regions which they don't what? Had when they were what? When they were being fabricated from the monomer species, right? That is that. So that is what? An opportunity for the amorphous regions to form crystalline regions. So this is now what? forming of bonds, di ba? If it's forming of bonds, then energy must be what? Released. That's why you have an upward change in the DSC curve. Are you getting that? Na-imagine nyo ba nung napigilan yung pag-form ng crystalline regions during the fabrication of polymers from the monomeric species? Na-imagine nyo? Kasi ang bilis ang bilis magbago ng temperature, di ba? Mambilis yung paglamig nila. Hindi na sila nakapag-form ng alin, ha? Crystalline regions. Paano sila makakapag-form ng crystalline regions? Kung ibabalik mo sila dun sa mas mainit na condition. You understand? And nagkakaroon sila ng opportunity during that stage. Especially after mag-break yung alin, yung bonds nila. You understand? So nagkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag na cold crystallization. Pag sinabi mong cold crystallization, that is because ayun nga, yung cold crystallization has something to do with yung pag-evaporate ng solvent during the early fabrication of your polymer. Okay, so cold crystallized, di ba? Also knowing that when compared to the melting temperature, medyo mas mababa yung temperature natin dito. Okay? But important term here is what? The crystallization term. The vitrification, to vitrify means what? To form glass. Vitreous silica, vitrify means to form glass. Glass, in its natural form, is amorphous. Amorphous yun. So to vitrify, de means what? An anti, di ba? Anti-glass, anti-amorphous. Ibig sabihin nun, you form crystalline phases. Ibig sabihin na the vitrification, anti-glassy stage. Okay? So did you get that? Nakuha ba si crystallization stage? So after mag-form na ng mga amorphous regions ng crystalline regions, kapag na-form na lahat, again, hindi naman pwede na magtuloy yan, diba? Pag-stop na yan dito, and then it will go down again to have a baseline. Ibig sabihin nun again, we'll be having what? Change in the temperature. Okay? Now, stage 5, can you read?
Melting peak of the crystallization fraction.
So this is now easy to understand. Kanina nag-break na yung amorphous regions, then nag-form na crystalline regions. May say na medyo nadagdagan yung alin, yung mga crystalline portions natin, di ba? But all those crystalline portions will break at what stage? Doon sa melting stage. So again, magbabago na naman yung transition natin from baseline. It will go downwards, meaning to say nag-absorb ng alin na heat. Because to break the crystalline regions, kailangan mag-absorb. Okay? Now, comparing the area, if you're gonna be getting the area of this, and the area of, for example, this PG here, but then notice, mas malaki yung area saan? Doon sa melting, no? Peak natin. Why is that? Bakit mas malaki yung area sa melting peak compared dito sa glass transition stage natin? Ha?
Mas maraming crystalline.
Mas maraming heat na kailangan? Ito ba yun? no?
Nag-break yung bonds.
Yeah.
Tapos, dun po sa baseline ko na
Dito, from here.
for ang ulit.
Hindi nag-form.
Sorry.
Break na yung bonds dito. Yung horizontal transition natin means yung degree of vibration. O siguro, pwede natin pag sinabing degree of vibration, o how fast it is na lang. From ganyan, pag nagbabago yung temperature, bumibilis ng bumibilis. Okay? So, I would want to correct myself earlier. It's not really one. Although there's masyado kasing chaotic, no? Pero kapag nagkakaroon kasi ng expansion, may breaking of bonds dun di ba? So, again, let me correct myself, at least for this lecture. Whenever there is a baseline here, a transition where we observe a horizontal line, the temperature is changing there. Okay? That's actually the kinetic energy of the molecules. So, it's correct to say na mas bumibilis yung vibration rather than mas i-increase yung space, no, of the vibration. Because kapag nag-increase yung space of vibration, ibig sabihin nagkakaroon ng breaking of bonds, di ba? So, again, if it's just a temperature change, kinetic energy of the molecules change, mas bumibilis. Okay? So, buti na correct. Thank you, Mr. Nasaan na tayo? May question ako, di ba? Bakit mas... Anong ibig sabihin nun? What does it imply na lang? It implies that mas marami crystalline regions compared sa amorphous regions. Understood? Mas marami. Do you understand? Thermoplastic is not like elastomers na mas marami yung amorphous regions, right? Thermoplastics has a higher degree of crystalline regions than amorphous. Understand? Now, another question. Sir, bakit halos parehas to ng area? Diba? Ang ibig bang sabihin, kung hindi nag-crystallize, kung hindi nangyari to, kaunti lang yung peak dito. Maliit lang yung peak. Na-imagine nyo ba? Kasi this is the totality of what? The totality of the crystalline regions, right? It's the totality of the crystalline regions. But why is that? It's as if parehas yung peak dito. I'm saying here that if this is the case, then ang ibig bang sabihin, yung mga crystalline regions lang na na-form dito, yung nag-melt? Because even before this happens, right, you already have what? Crystalline regions existing in your polymer. Do you understand? So, who may want to answer that? Tagalog na lang ba? Minsan nahihirapan ako sa English. Bakit halos same yung area natin dito? Mas malaki pa rin to, actually. Okay, let's guess dito. Pero ba't halos same? Even before this happens, meron ng crystalline regions, di ba? Ibig sabihin, dapat way na mas malaki yung peak natin dito compared dito. Kasi even before this happens, you have crystalline regions. Diba? Kung meron ka ng existing na crystalline regions, as nadagdagan pa nito, these crystalline regions came from what? The amorphous regions. Tama ba? Do you understand? Ano ibig sabihin nun? May difference pa rin, ha? May difference. Bakit may difference pa rin? Kasi, diba? Yung talagang mga crystalline portion, yung may say na unchangeable, hindi sila nagbago. Diba? Dito, nag-break ng bonds. Yung lahat. Lahat na yun, lahat. So may difference pa rin, di ba? May difference. Kasi dito, lahat ng crystalline regions nag-break eh. Kasama yung mga nauna. I mean, kasama yung mga nadagdag. Dito kasi yung nadagdag. Pero dito, ang motion natin is what? Nagpo-form ng bonds. Ibig sabihin nun, during this stage, may mga talagang intact na crystalline regions na hindi na wala nang contribution sa formation of bonds, di ba? Ang may contribution lang yung mga less crystalline tsaka yung talagang amorphous. Di ba, follow? So kindly, na lang, no? If I have, minsan kasi I'm explaining things that, it's, pag masyadong concise, it doesn't get the point. The point doesn't, get home. And it doesn't get home, ibig sabihin, hindi tumutugma, di ba? But because of your mga reactions nyo, it kind of makes me explain it more. So I think I already explained it the best way it could be. So, ayos na ba yan? Nakuha na yan? So again, there's still a difference here. Now, will there be a chance na magkaiba yung peak natin dito or in mas malaki yung peak dito tapos dito mas maliit? Mas malaki peak dito, mas maliit dito? Ha? Pero di ba assignment ko kaya? No? Huwag na ba?
Explain ko na lang.
Ha? Explain ko na lang.
Hindi, pero yung for halos magkasing ko ang value.
Alin?
Yung big deal, sir.
Magka-same ang value. It varies from material to material. It varies from material to material. But of course, there's a difference. May difference yan. Hindi pwedeng parehas. Minimal difference. At for this case, no? Mamaya, meron tayong value. Papakita ko sa inyo. Value, no? Area dito. Okay? Sige, balik na muna dito. Mamaya na yun, yung question na yun. Yun yung dami ng nag-form ng bonds dito at nang na-break na bonds dito. Diba? This may actually imply the degree of crystalline regions. Diba? That is also what? The amount of heat na na-absorb. Ibig sabihin, ganito kadami, yung area na yan, ganun kadami yung latent heat na kailangan i-absorb para mag-break yung crystalline regions. Dito naman, ano ibig sabihin niya? Maliit lang, di ba? Kasi amorphous regions lang yun. Yung mga bonds nun, hindi ganun kayo. Di follow? So that's the something to do with that. Temperature to, mali. Dito dapat ako. Di ba? So again, that is the amount of heat per mass. And that's actually that, what? If this is the area, ano yung makukuha talaga natin doon? Yung L, yung heat of reaction. Kasi per mass tayo of the substance. Yes? Sir? Question? Ano ka na ba? Beginning oxidative degradation in air. After ng melting, ano nang nangyayari? Decomposition, di ba? And nagkakaroon ba ng breaking of bonds there? Well, kung isang polymer chain mag-decompose, mag-break ng bonds yun, di ba? Now, what happens to the curve? Is it going upwards or downwards? Going upwards. How come na nagde-decompose, breaking of bonds, and yet it goes up? Anyone here? Who knows the answer?
Degree release.
Kasi nag-break yung bond? Eh, pagka breaking of bonds, dapat pamaba di ba? Eh, bakit mataas yan? Nagre-react sa Air. Mas na-outweigh no? Bond formation, yung alin, yung breaking of bonds. Kasi ganito yon. Kapag nag-break ng bonds, yung species na natanggal doon sa, for example, doon sa chain, nag-interact agad sa oxygen, doon sa air. So yung formation ng bonds doon sa air, nag-break muna pero nag-form ng bonds. Diba? Mas nare-read yung alin, yung bond formation or reaction of the degraded or decomposed components doon sa reaction sa air. Mas nare-read yun. So, it goes upwards. You understand? Pero kung hindi yan magre-react sa air, which is impossible, diba? For it to decompose. Diba? Decompose kasi, ibig sabihin ng decompose, a new composition is being what? Produced, diba? So when it reacts with air, we all know that bonds are being formed. Okay? Question. So, you all know how to interpret the DSC curve and also incorporate the equations, latent and sensible heat equations. Now, I can give you a change in the DSC curve. This is, by the way, a thermoplastic polymer, polyethylene terephthalate, PET. Alam niyo yung PET bottle? That is a thermoplastic, and that is the one, okay, measured here in terms of its heat flow behavior using DSC. Now, what if magbigay ako ng ibang polymer? Thermoplastic din. Magbabago yung mga transitions natin, di ba? Yung area ng peak, area ng trough, magbabago din yung alin, yung temperature kung saan sila nagka-transpire, right? Magbabago yun. So that is the highlight of your report. There will be a corresponding change in the DSC curve, and then you explain why. Paano nyo i-explain? Makinig. Alam nyo na yung transition, di ba? Na-relate na natin yung alin, yung temperature, microstructure change, tsaka saan? Sa heat flow. Na-relate na natin yon. E paano kung nagbabago na? Ano yung mga importanteng factors that we have to consider? Tandaan nyo, kapag temperature ang pinag-uusapan, for example, asan yung melting temperature? Ito yung melting temperature, di ba? Has something to do with the quality of the bonds. Quality. Kasi yung area, anong tawag doon? Quantity. Di ba? Gaano kadami yung alin? Yung crystalline regions. Pero yung quality ng bond ng crystalline region, saan yun? Sa temperature. So for example, I have another thermoplastic polymer, nag-peak siya or rather, nag-throw siya dito. Which has a lower what? Lower temperature. Anong ibig sabihin nun? That polymer, may crystalline region pa rin siya, di ba? Dahil dun sa melting. Pero dahil sa lower temperature siya nangyari, anong ibig sabihin? Yung bond ng crystalline regions, hindi ganun ka intact. Doon na papasok yung chemistry. Diba? For example, mas marami siya ng mga electronegative elements, diba? That can what? Induce better bonding between two moieties or between two polymer chains. Do you understand? So yun yung mga science part na kailangan kong makita sa report ninyo. Now what about, for example, same temperature pero magkaiba ng ng area. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Quantity, di ba? Kumaunti yung yung crystalline regions natin. And there can be reasons, why it can happen. Of course, based on the different types of materials, di ba? Hindi pwedeng magkaparehas ng amount of crystalline regions. Hindi rin pwede na parehas yung yung melting temperature. Now, what if I have the same polymer? Kanina pa ako naaarawan. Kasi palang pumunta. I have the same polymer, PET. Then, maglagay ako ng ibang component. Same pa rin ba yung DSC curve na makukuha ko? Iba na yun, di ba? Depende dun sa component na ilalagay ko. For example, I have PET, then I put a polymer na mas mataas yung crystallinity compared dun sa PET. May mga corresponding changes tayo, tama ba? Hindi lang dun sa quality, pati na rin dun sa quantity ng mga phases natin, whether that be amorphous or crystalline phases. You understand? Yun yung i-interpret nyo na DSC data. Lagi yan titignan nyo saan? Sa temperature, quality ng bonds. Bakit kaya? Diba? And then dun saan? Dun sa area ng mga peaks and troughs. Yung mga nag-compose sa akin dati, I think sa polymers din. Di ba typical experiment or typical study ninyo, you have a polymer, then maglalagay kayo ng filler, di ba? And then, check nyo sa DSC kung ano yung mga corresponding changes. Bakit nagbago yung melting? Anong meron doon sa filler na inilagay mo? Kaya nga, ang report natin may kaunting research aspect na to. I-research mo yung additive. Kasi yun yung magpapabago doon sa pure polymer mo. Ano yung mga titignan mo sa additive? O, yung mga na-discuss natin, di ba? Last time, naalala niyo yung electronegativity, di ba? Titignan niyo yung structure, yung molecular weight, di ba? Lahat yun, i-extract nyo for you to be able to interpret the corresponding changes in the DSC curves. But if I put a polymer na mas less crystalline doon sa pure polymer ko, di ba? What will happen? So, may group na ba kayo? May group ko na ba kayo? Yung sa short quiz, gusto niyo na ba? Yun yung ano nyo? O gusto niyo yung piliin ko? Ayaw nyo na okay na yun? Na mas malaki yung crystallization peak sa melting peak, melting trough. Pwede ba yun?
Pwede siya.
Pwede? Pwede? Pwede ba? Tinik
Pwede siguro.
Hindi yung mabuti. Sige nga, sa final exam, I want you to what? Titignan nyo na sa ano eh. Pero walang explanation actually. Makikita nyo lang na kung pwede ba. Siguro maghahanap kayo ng case. Uy, ito, mas malaki yung crystallization peak. Ilalagay ko sa ano, sa final exam na yun. Pwede ba na mas malaki yung crystallization peak sa melting trough? Pwede ba yun? Sa crystallization peak, ano yung notion natin? Nagpo-form ng bonds. Hindi lang yung alin, yung amorphous regions, pati yung mga less crystalline regions na already existing, di ba? Pero sa melting trough, ano nangyayari doon? Lahat ng crystalline regions, kahit less pa yan or more crystalline, nagpo-break. Tinan niyo yung notion na yun. And from there, perhaps you can get so whether possible ba na mas malaki yung crystallization sa melting crystallization code